Hello there, I'm Wyatt Buhr. Here with me, Lexie and Courtney on Tired Talkers on the Prairie. Our topic of the day is sport injuries. And I'll start you off with types of injuries. How many types of injuries are there? There are two types of injuries, acute injury and chronic injury. An acute injury occurs suddenly, such as a sprained ankle caused by awkward landing is known as an acute injury. Chronic injury is caused by repeated overuse of muscle groups or joints. Poor technique and structural abnormalities can also contribute to the development of chronic injuries.
I can relate to that one a lot because I have recently had a very bad shoulder injury due to the overuse of my muscles, and now I have a lot of scar tissue because of that.
What are the 5 most common injuries? And the number 1 is strains and sprains. Number 2, knee injuries. Number 3, shin splints. Number 4, fractures. And number 5, dislocations. And another question that's really interesting to me is, what are the top 5 worst sport injuries an athlete could have? Number 1 is a concussion. Number 2 is torn ACL. Number 3 is torn lateral ligament. Number 4 is broken leg. And number 5 is fractured vertebrae. And I can relate to the torn ACL. I tore my ACL this summer when I was wrestling in the summer duels, and it's pretty painful at first. I mean, I didn't know I tore my ACL at the point, but it's really life-changing because it's a long process after you tear your ACL, and you have to have a 6 to 9 month recovery, and it's just really painful.
And I can also relate to the severe concussion area of that because I've had a really bad concussion to where I was out for 2 months, and it was very bad. The effects of it are just awful. You get very bad headaches from it.
And I'm sure many athletes can relate to all of these injuries, just with all the activities, games, practices that they have going on.
And another question is, what sport causes the most injuries? According to the most dangerous sports in America by B. Jordan Carey on LiveScience.com, basketball is the most dangerous sport with more than 500,000 injuries per year, causes the most sports injuries, followed closely by bicycling and football. And I find this really shocking because I'm not a basketball player. I usually play football, and I wrestle, and I run track, and it's kind of funny to me that basketball causes the most sports injuries in America because football is really physical, wrestling is really, really physical and demanding, and track, I mean, you could easily pull your hamstring or anything just by running. So, and I really don't play basketball, so it's just kind of funny.
I agree that that's quite interesting because you wouldn't expect like basketball to be the most with the most injuries, like whereas I would imagine it'd be football because that's more of a contact sport than basketball is. Granted, you have contact in both of the sports, but
I totally agree with that. With football, I would think would be on the top of that list. Okay, next we have solutions and preventions of injuries. So we all know when you have an injury, you want to get that fixed and taken care of right away. That way you can get back to what you used to doing. Most of the busy athletes who want to get right back into the game use braces or wraps to try and solve their pain or injuries. Others use cortisone shots, and that is good for a short time that's good for a short time solution, but that's not something that you can always use for the rest of your life. So eventually you're going to have to get surgery, most likely. And along with surgery, you'll need physical therapy, and you'll have to take a break from the game. And most people that are athletic don't like the fact that they have to get the break, so they'll put off the surgery as long as they can, which eventually can also make the recovery time longer. There's also preventions to this where you can wear the appropriate footwear, you can tape your injured leg or your injured foot, whatever is bothering you. That way you have a little bit more protection. You can warm up thoroughly with slow, sustained stretches. That way you don't pull muscle right away. You can slowly go into whatever warm up you need. Drinking plenty of water and having the right diet is also good to prevent your injuries, because if you're not having a good diet and you're not very healthy, that just gets you that much closer and leads you to getting an injury. When you have an injury, you really just need to allow the recovery time that it's needed, because you're just going to make it worse. And then that will lead to longer recovery, which will get you out of the game longer, and that's just not fun.
I agree, like with the surgery and all that, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's a very risky step because it can affect you in a lot of ways, and it's a very risk-taking procedure that you have to have done. You might not always and back up 100%, and things could go wrong. You never know what could happen there.
Yeah, and some people, they just want to do anything they can to get out of the surgery, and then when it comes time for the surgery, they've put it off for so long that it's eventually just way worse than it was in the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so now on to the recovery part. So, according to the article, massage therapy improves rehabilitation after injury. The main goal of physical rehabilitation is to increase the strength and flexibility. There's different ways to recover from an injury, and the time of recovery also varies with the different types. So the different types could be massage, and there's also other methods of recovery. Another thing I'll be talking about is the quality of recovery. So first with massage. It's an important role as a supplement to standard injury rehabilitation procedures because it helps pump oxygen and nutrients into the tissues and vital organs, which allows the area to become more flexible, which allows it to heal at an accelerated rate. As well, massage also gives you a faster recovery rate because it improves your blood flow, it helps your muscles to get warmer, it stretches out the tight tissues that you have, and it also breaks down the adhesions, as well as it also flushes out swelling in joints, which allows for quicker healing. As well, massage for broken bones reduces the stiffness, it restores the movement, and it provides relaxation to whoever is suffering through that pain. Also, according to MATA's 2010 nationwide survey, massage has helped the effectiveness for arthritis, for the recovery of that, as well as lower back pain and other recoveries from sports injuries. Massage also increases the blood flow, according to Shona L. Howson, and it improves the psychological aspects of recovery. Other methods of recovery are hydrotherapy, which is the body response to water immersion. It changes in the heat, the peripheral resistance, then the blood flow gets better. It helps with the core, and then the muscle temperature begins to change. The effects of the change in temperature and blood flow, it affects the inflammation, your immune function, your muscle soreness, and fatigue, and helps all that to get flushed away. The endurance exercise includes things such as CWI, which is cold water immersion, putting your injured area into a cold bath. HWI is hot water immersion, which is the exact opposite of that, is you just putting your injured area in hot water. And CWT is contrast water therapy, which you put your injured area in cold for a certain amount of time and then hot for another amount of time. And there's no beneficial effect on performance during repeated sprinting with the CWT. With CWI and CWT, they are more beneficial than HWI for endurance exercises. And now with the quality of recovery, it's meant to reduce the fatigue and enhance performance, according to the massage therapy, improves rehabilitation after injury article. And the rate and quality of an injury recovery also varies a lot, just depending on how well you take care of that. In optimal recovery, there's numerous effects during your high-level training and competition. So the longer you allow your body to recover, the more benefits you're going to have when you want to go back into competing. There's also adequate recovery, which is the restoration of physiological and psychological processes, and that allows you to train again at an appropriate level. Recovery is also dependent on the nature of the exercise performed and other outside stressors. And so I've mentioned the massage, how that affects the recovery, as well as the other types of recovery methods and how important the quality of recovery really is.
Okay, and to finish us off here, we have long-term effects. As most of you all know, once you have a sports injury, it most likely will carry through your life for a long time, even after your surgeries or after you try to get that fixed. Some physical therapy is something that you may need for the rest of your life just to try and get back to where you were before you were injured. It also can lead to more surgery if you don't really take the needed time, the necessary time that you need for recovery, because you're just making it worse once again. You also may still need braces just so that you have that extra protection, extra brace there to help you out when you need it, because most likely you're not going to get 100% back depending on how you take care of it when you are recovering. Most likely it also just isn't going to be the same. There are those surgeries where you get them and it's like nothing happened, you're back to where you started. But then there's also other surgeries where you get the surgery and it's just not the same. You needed much longer physical therapy than you thought. You're going to be in a lot more pain than you thought. But as long as you take care of it, you should be okay. Long-term effects can also be something that you don't want to deal with, so that may also change your decision when you're looking for a solution. And that's just something that you don't want to deal with.
So I have an ending question for both of you two. Since I tore my ACL this summer, I thought I was done with sports for the rest of the season, and I went to the doctor and up in Denver, and he told me I had two options. I could either have surgery right away and rehab 6-9 months, or I could wear a brace and play football. And I was really shocked that he gave me that decision, because I thought, if you tore your ACL, there's no like two options you can do. You have to do surgery right away, because ACL is not a joke. So like, I have a question that, which one would you guys choose? Would you rather play your sport for the season, or would you rather get the surgery right away and get it over with, so that like you won't have any more risk of more injuries?
I mean, it kind of just depends on like how serious the injury is. Like, if you're able to tolerate it, then I mean, I would definitely play, just because I love playing the sports that I do and I love being active. So I would choose to do what I love over that, just because if I'm able to tolerate it, then I will. Because like with my shoulder and me being hurt and all that, I have to tolerate it in order to be able to play the sport that I love.
I definitely agree with Courtney. If I could tolerate it, I would definitely wait. That way I could play my sport that I wanted, continue that, and then get the surgery after the sport, and just get as much playing in as I can while I can, just try to be safe on it.
Because I mean, we only have like a certain amount of time in our high school career to be able to actually play sports, and after that, I mean, nothing's guaranteed from there on out. I mean, you can jump in with other extracurricular activities and stuff, but you're only allowed 4 years of sports in high school, so you want to take those opportunities while you can, just as long as it's not going to cost you in the long run.
Yeah, just definitely make the most of what you can while you have it.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, yeah.
Thank you for joining us today on Tiger Talkers on the Prairie. Once again, I'm Lexie.
I'm Courtney.
And I'm Wyatt Buhr.
And we hope that you join us again soon.